thank you everybody for coming to this webinar today. Just to introduce myself a little bit more, my name is Alex Webb, and as Elena said, I'm a teacher trainer at London School of Languages in San Sebastian. I've been teaching English now since 2008. And yeah, worked in lots of different countries, in France, Spain, the UK, Germany. And I've been teaching lots and lots of different ages, levels of students, different types of English classes. And at the London School of Languages, I'm currently responsible for, teaching adults and young learners as well. Okay, and today we're going to talk about how to implement the new course from Richmond, which is called New Hooray, Let's Play. Okay, just to tell you a little bit about our department. So I'm one of 3 members of the teacher training department at London School of Languages. And together with my colleagues, Karen and Inigo, we deliver teacher training for teachers both within our academy and externally. And between us, we have a lot of experience of teaching in different environments and different types of students. And I hope that my experience today will be useful for you when I'm talking about the course New Hooray, Let's Play. So let's dive right in straight away. What are we going to cover today? So first of all, we will have a look at what is New Hooray, Let's Play. What is this course? What does it include? What is the aim of it? What's the purpose of it? And so that's what we'll start off by looking at. Then we'll have a look at what is called the SMILE approach, which is something new and authentic for this course. Okay, and it's something that has been used and been thought about very carefully when creating New Hooray, Let's Play. We'll have a look at the course contents. Okay, what the different features are of the course, what you've got, the course book, the interactive material, so on and so forth. And then later on in the webinar, we'll have a look at planning and teaching using the course. So how can we plan our lessons, and how can we teach using this course, and how can we use this course effectively in our classroom? And then to finish up, I'm going to summarize why I think choosing New Hooray Let's Play is a really good option. I think why people should be looking at this course and choosing this course for their classes from September onwards. Okay, so we'll start off with what is New Hooray Let's Play? What is it? So it's a comprehensive course for pre-primary age learners. Okay, so and it has 3 different levels. It's got starter, A, and B. Okay, and it's a course that's intended to teach English in a really playful, fun, enjoyable way for the students. Okay, the intention is that the students are kind of using their senses to learn. So it's a course that aims at stimulating the senses of the students so that they are learning in a way that is really fun and really stimulating for them. And there is a really strong focus in this course on developing listening skills. Okay, and when we say that, this kind of leads into the focus of the reproduction of language to ensure that this language is retained. And the key focus is on slow and accurate reproduction of the language. Okay, and one of the other aims of the course is to really help build the intelligence of young learners. Part of the thinking behind this course is that intelligence isn't just something that you're born with, it's something that you can actually develop over time. And the aim of this course is to kind of stimulate the young learners and stimulate the children to learn and to think for themselves. And it's helping to develop the thinking skills that our young learners have. Okay. To continue with this, as I mentioned previously, young learners are encouraged to use all of their senses and to understand and reproduce language. So this means that there is a lot of listening involved in these lessons. There is a lot of interaction with the language. They are encountering English throughout the lesson. Okay, and so there's a lot of listening, and that's one of the senses that the students are encouraged to use. But the lessons and the activities also encourage a lot of movement, a lot of TPR, and the thinking behind this is to make the language more memorable. Okay, and so you'll find in this course that there is a really high amount of or frequent use of music Okay, frequent use of music, movement, and lots of rhymes. And all of this is intended to make the language really, really memorable for the students. Okay, and by making the language entertaining and stimulating, it's much more likely that the students will remember this when it comes to the next lesson or to the next year of their development, and so on and so forth. It's really, really important to make the language engaging, and that's what New Hooray Let's Play aims to do. And to finish off with here, they have the book is, or the course is full of lots and lots of stories and games. And again, these are used to stimulate the young learner's interest, okay, and to encourage language retention. Okay, so the aim of this course is to really, really engage our young learners, stimulate their interest, get them interested in what they're seeing, what they're hearing, and hopefully that will really, really encourage retention of the language that we are introducing. So what I'm going to talk now is a little bit about the innovative SMILE approach on which this course has been based. Okay, and so the SMILE, it's a very, very nice little acronym. I'm glad it's very nice that it worked out this way. The S stands for skill-oriented learning. Okay, and again, I talked about this just previously, and this is the aim of this is to kind of draw on skills that our young learners use, and perhaps draw on the skills that they also use for problem solving. Okay, it's because of this we think that it's really, really important to integrate second language learning as early as possible into a child's development. And so by introducing second language learning early on into the curriculum at pre-primary level, it develops not only the linguistic skills of the students, but it also encourages them to develop their general intellectual skills. And that's part of the thinking behind this course. Okay. And we talked previously as well about multi-sensory learner motivation. Okay, and so the course here aims to involve as many of the senses as possible during the language learning process. That means lots of listening, lots of movement, perhaps touching different things as well. And it's been proven that the better the senses are integrated in the presentation of information, the better the children will receive and internalize that information. Okay, and so during the process of thinking and remembering, if there are more than one of the senses is being stimulated, it heightens the student's ability to pay attention and concentrate, and at the same time allows them to retain and store linguistic information into their long-term memory. The next part is intelligence building activities. As I said, modern research shows that intelligence is not totally dependent on what we are born with. Okay, it can also be influenced by the way we learn. Okay, so intelligence can be learnt, and I think learning a second language definitely stimulates a child's intelligence, and is a great way of helping them to develop this. Okay. The L stands for long-term memory storage through music, movement, and rhyme. Okay, so interestingly, most adults can remember and retell rhymes and stories that they learned when they were children. Okay, and that shows us that stories and rhyme are really, really good ways of locking things into our long-term memory. And so this approach has been used in the creation of this course, and so to help the students remember the language that they're being taught. And so by presenting the language through music, through movement, through rhythm, and through rhyme, it makes it much more memorable and much more likely that it will stay in the student's long-term memory. And finally, the E stands for exciting stories and games. Okay, and so it's really, really important that the children or the young learners can identify with what is being taught and what they are learning. Okay, it helps them to remember it. And so if you've got really exciting stories, enjoyable games, enjoyable activities, again, it just makes that language much more memorable for the students. Okay, and so a good foreign, we want to kind of create good young foreign language learners. Okay, and young foreign language learners can learn and repeat chunks of language, sorry, and consolidate this through reading these stories, playing these games, and so on and so forth. But generally speaking, this SMILE approach has all been created and designed around finding the best ways for young learners to record and store information and store the new things that they're learning in their long-term memory. That is kind of the idea behind this principle. Okay, so let's move on and have a look, a little look at the book itself, or the course itself. Okay, firstly, let's just have a quick introduction of the characters here. We've got Peter the panda, okay, Connie the crocodile, Rosie the rabbit, and Tom the turtle. Okay, and so I really like these characters. These are 4 really, really great recurring characters that recur throughout the series, and I think they're characters that the young learners, the children, can engage with and will stimulate their interest in the material that they are encountering on this course. All right, so I think, yeah, they're really, really fun characters, and there's a little bit of alliteration there for the students as well. Peter the panda, Rosie the rabbit, Tom the turtle, Connie the crocodile, and again, it's just another way of making things more memorable for the students. Okay, so let's have a look at what is included in the course. Okay, so the course itself has many different features. Okay, as you would expect, we have got a student's book, as well as an activity and a project book. Okay, and these can be used together really nicely in class. They can, perhaps for one lesson, you can use the student's book, and then in a subsequent lesson, use the activity and the project book to reinforce what was learned in the student's book. There are also a huge number of, or a great number of, flashcards, and as well story cards that you can use in the class with your students, again, to stimulate interest, to facilitate learning. And the great thing is that the teacher's guide, which there is a teacher's guide for both the student's book and for the activity and project book, the teacher's guide gives you a really great detailed guide for how to make effective use of all of these things. And so, yeah, we've got an example here of the teacher's book, but we'll look at that in more detail later. Okay, the teacher's book gives you really, really detailed instructions and tips and ideas for how you can make the most of the resources included in this course. We've also got the Peter the Panda hand puppet that you can use with your students, and again, that's a really great way of just stimulating interest among them. And finally, there are the interactive resources, which personally I think are the most impressive feature of this entire course. And we'll have a look at those in just a moment. But the interactive resources can be used really, really well in collaboration with the other elements of the course. Okay, so before we have a look at it, I'll just run through what the interactive resources actually include. Okay, so when we have a look at this, you'll see there are step-by-step lesson plans. There's a game generator for the students. If you need extra worksheets, you can find them in here. There's an alphabet book for practicing early writing skills. Okay, we've got videos with songs and lyrics, as well as stories. There is a flashcard bank where you can find all of the flashcards that come with the course. Okay, as well as the iStory cards. And something that I really like as well is the routine poster. But we'll have a look, we'll have a detailed look at all of these things now. So I'm just going to share, my my browser with you now so that you can see the interactive elements of the course. Okay. All right. So, oh, sorry. Didn't mean to leave it open. Okay, so when you go into the teacher's eye solutions, this is what you are greeted with. Okay, so you can see all of the different elements that I just mentioned. You've got step-by-step lesson plan, game generator, extra worksheets, so on and so forth. Okay, what I'd like to show you first of all, and something that I really like is the step-by-step lesson plan. Okay, so you can see Unit 4 is the demo unit for this course, so that's what we'll be having a look at here. I'll just take you into the first lesson here, so the language presentation of Unit 4. Okay, all right, and you can see you've got a very clear step-by-step guide for how to run this lesson. Okay, so the language presentation lesson. Okay, you can also click on the lesson guide here, and that will be available in the full version, but at the moment you can see that in the teacher's book. All right, but something that I particularly like is to start a lesson is the routine poster, and this is always available when you go through the lesson. Okay, and so if you click on the routine poster, okay, let's give it a second to load up. Okay, let's give it 1 second. Here we go. So it's just loading up now, but you can start to see it already. When you're teaching young learners, and I'll talk about this a little bit more later, routine is really, really important. They need a routine to know kind of what is happening, what stage of the lesson they're in. And so developing a routine, a regular routine with your students is really, really important. And this routine poster is fantastic for this. You can do this at the start of every lesson. You can kind of mix and match different things, okay? But it not only develops a routine, but it also introduces an awful lot of language for the students, which I think is really, really fantastic. So for example, you can click on today is Monday. If we listen to that.
It's Monday.
It's Monday, okay. And if you look at the weather, if I look outside.
It's sunny.
Sunny. Today's date is?
It's the 27th. It's May. It's spring.
And you can also introduce then as well how the students are feeling. Okay, so we're all in this webinar. Hopefully we're all enjoying it. So we'll put this one.
I'm happy.
Okay, there we go. And so you can make this routine poster really a really good part of every lesson. Okay, and so starting off the lesson like this, you're instantly revising and developing language, and it's just a really fantastic way to get your lesson off to a really good start with your students. And I think your students will really, really engage with this. Okay, you also have in here very easy access to the routine songs. So we can click on the hello song and have a quick look at that one.
It's nice to see you. Hello, hello. It's nice to see you. Hello, hello. It's nice to see you.
Okay, so you can see, yes, you have all of the different routine songs. Okay, all of these will be available in the full version of the course, obviously. And yeah, so the lesson, the interactive guide kind of just takes you kind of naturally, nicely through the lesson itself. It's kind of almost planned and prepared for you, which is really nice. You can click on the different features. This is quite a nice one just to show you the flashcards. I particularly like the flashcards because you have obviously the cartoon character of the duck. But if you want to, and you want to show them the real duck, you can click on the photo and it will show you a photograph of the duck as well, which I think is particularly nice. It's a nice feature to this course. And obviously you can listen to it and you can see it written down as well. So you can take that away. And yeah, if you go for cow, you can see you have the photograph of the cow, or if you want to go back to the cartoon of the cow. So I think the flashcard features are really, really nice on here. Okay. Going back, I'm going to go back out of the lesson plan now, and just to show you a couple of other nice features of the interactive thing, other things that I particularly like. So you can go onto the game generator. I like the game generator. You can play all kinds of different games on here. We'll stick with memory. Okay, maybe we'll do 3 pairs. Okay, so I have to quickly choose the unit. So again, you can adapt all of these games and you can make them as you like them. So you can look at what your students need to work on, what they're good at, and you can adapt the games however you want to have them. Okay, so if I include, let's do like that and click go. Okay, so we click new game. Oh, sorry. Start. It's going to disappear in a second. Okay, so I can click on the frog.
Frog.
And
Frog.
and then we can. Okay, and of course,
Duck. Dog.
Oops, try again.
So the nice thing about the game generator is that you can increase and decrease the difficulty level depending on the level of your class. Okay, so you might find that there are some stronger students in your class or some weaker students in the class, and that game generator can be really adapted. You can play pictures and audio, pictures and words if you've got stronger students. Okay, and so the level of the game can really be adapted to the level of your students. Okay, so it's a really nice feature. We've also got extra worksheets in here. I'll talk about that a little bit more later on, but if you click on it, you can see you've got here, for example, an extra animal lesson here, and they can color the mini flashcards in, and there's an option to print that at the top of the screen. So it's very easy, very easy to use. Okay. Alphabet book to encourage early writing skills. So looking at letters, how the letters are formed, and then you've got some tracing exercises as well. So trying to develop these early writing skills a little bit. Just go back again. If we go into the videos, there are so many great videos. I'll be here forever if I wanted to show you all of them. But you've got the routine songs that I showed you before. You've got animated stories. Just have a quick look at this one. We won't look at the whole thing, but just to press play.
Oh, hello. I'm going to a farm. Come with me.
Okay. So I'll stop it there, but you can see that the students are instantly engaged by the character. The rabbit comes out and talks to you. Okay, and so the students are instantly engaged with the story. Okay, and you've got as well lots and lots of traditional kind of action songs. You've got Row Row Your Boat, Incy Wincy Spider. I'll show you very quickly one of these just to have a look at. These are with presenters as well. Okay, and they teach the students the actions. Okay, and so this is part of getting the students moving, the idea of doing lots and lots of movement in the lessons. These videos really encourage and teach the students how to do the actions for the different songs, as you'll see here.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
Yeah, what I really like about this is, the actions are really easy to copy. And of course, you've got real students in the videos doing the actions that are a similar age to the students that you have in your classroom. Okay, and so again, it's another way of getting your students motivated, getting them involved in the activities that you're doing in your class. Okay, if we go back, okay, you can also see, yeah, you've got the flashcard bank, so you can click on by letter and see all of the different flashcards. And as I showed you before, you've also got the story cards. Okay, so the story with the giant carrot, you can also tell that story slightly differently if you want to, using these story cards. Give it a second to load, see if it will come up. Don't know why it's not loading. Let's try one more time. See if it comes up this time. Well, the story cards are, here we go. So you can see you've got the story cards. And so you could perhaps watch the story with the video and then retell the story, or encourage the students to try and retell as much of the story as possible using the different story cards. Okay, so it's a very nice feature of the course here. As you can see, the interactive guide, the interactive resources here, the iSolutions, are absolutely fantastic. There are so many things that you could do with here, and so many things that you can experiment with and play with. I strongly recommend visiting this site, having a look at the resources that are available, playing with them, trying it out for yourself, finding out what the different things that you can do with this are, because there are so many different things. I could speak to you for hours about all the different things that there are in the interactive resources. Okay, so it's well worth a look. Okay, so you just need to go to newhooray.richmonddigital.net/demo, and you can have a look. You just need to click on Teachers iSolutions, and you can have a look at that. Okay, but it's really, really well worth a look. Okay, really, really worth looking at and playing with. Okay, so yes, fantastic, fantastic resource there. Okay, I'm going to go back to my presentation now. Okay, and I'm going to talk a little bit now about teaching with NewHooray. Okay, first of all, I'm going to talk about planning lessons. Okay, so the course NewHooray Let's Play, I think, makes planning lessons for the teacher really, really easy. Okay, the teacher's guide is incredibly thorough. Okay, I've got a bigger screenshot of this later on that you'll see. Okay, but the teacher's guide is very, very detailed. Okay, and as you could see from the interactive resources, there is such a wide variety of activities. Okay, so you can choose the activities that that your students like and that your students engage with. Okay, and so there's lots and lots to experiment with at the start of the course. Okay, but again, there are so many different resources in here. You don't feel that you need to use every activity. Okay, you can pick and choose some of the activities that work best with your group of students, and what works well with one class might not work so well with another class, and you might want to use some kind of different activities of that as well. But you have a huge choice of activities that you can do with your students. Okay, and for all of these activities, the teacher's book provides you with a really, really detailed guide. As I mentioned before, though, when you're planning your lessons, routines are really, really important. So these are routines are a key part of your lesson plan, and so you want to make the most of the routine poster that we saw earlier, and getting these routines into your classes really, really early on is a really, really important way of making your young learners feel comfortable in the classroom and confident and ready to produce as much language as possible from week one, from day one. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about using the teacher's book. Okay, because the teacher's book, it contains a really, really comprehensive guide to each lesson. Okay, it's a step-by-step guide of everything that you need to do in order to make the most of the materials in here in this course. It also includes a lot of optional extra activities and extra lessons. Okay, so for example, if you feel like you've got a student who needs to be pushed a little bit more, you can give them one of the extra activities while the others are finishing something else. Or if you feel like one of the topics that you're covering, so say you're doing this unit 4 and you feel like the students haven't quite managed to grasp everything that you were hoping for, there are extra lessons that you could use, that you can take from the teacher's book and from the activity resources as well. Okay, so each unit contains extra lessons that you can do to really reinforce the language that you're teaching and the language that you're introducing. Okay. Another really great feature of the teacher's book that I really like is that it has such a detailed material checklist. Okay, so you know before you teach the class everything that you're going to need in order to make this material, to make this lesson go well. Okay, so if you need coloring pencils, it tells you you need coloring pencils. If you need pieces of paper, it tells you you need pieces of paper. Okay, so it tells you everything you need to make your lesson go well. And yeah, it's got, as I mentioned before, a really, really great range of ideas for games and activities, and using all of the different elements of the course and how to stimulate your learners' interest, which, as I said before, is really, really key. Okay, and you can see on the next slide here, I've got an example here of what the teacher's book looks like. Okay, so you can see you've got the main objective of the lesson, the keywords that you're going to teach, receptive language, okay, classroom language that you're going to need, okay, so kind of for giving instructions and so on and so forth, the different activities that are going to be happening, and as I mentioned before, the materials checklist. Okay, and so I think sometimes we go into a classroom and we think, oh, I forgot I was going to need that piece of material. I forgot I was going to need that. But here you've got the material checklist, so you can just look at that and yes, make sure that you've got everything. Okay, and then you can see you've got the different stages of the lesson. Okay, so you've got the warm-up, revision, sing the happy rabbit song, carpet time, so on and so forth. So again, all the stages of the lesson are clearly explained, clearly laid out, and so it makes it very, very teacher friendly. Okay, so one thing that's on here is the classroom language, and I think this is something when we're teaching young learners that is really, really important. Okay, when they're not producing much language in English, giving clear instructions is really, really essential. Okay, and it's important that our instructions are clear and that they are concise. Okay, and often that means that our instructions need to be visual, especially in this time of COVID, when we've got the face mask on. It's very difficult for the students to read our lips, to see to kind of work out what we're saying. And so we need to visualize our instructions as well. Lots and lots of gestures. I realize I'm doing that a lot when I'm giving this presentation as well. But yeah, instructions should be really, really visual for the students. And this means as well, just for example, if you've got the student's book or the activity book here, holding the book up and pointing to the activity. This is what I mean by making it visual, showing the students exactly what they need to do. Okay, and at the same time, after explaining and telling the students what they need to do, modeling activities is really, really important. Okay, because often, especially young learners, maybe they simply don't understand the instruction that you're giving. Okay, and so doing the first activity together as a group, or doing the first activity as the teacher, is really, really important so that the students can see what they have to do. Okay, so even if they don't understand the instructions straight away, they may not understand the instructions until nearly the end of the year. Okay, but by modeling the activity, it makes it really, really clear for the students what they have to do. And then Afterwards, of course, we need to check that our students have understood the tasks that we're giving them, okay? And so we want to be using lots and lots of yes, no questions, closed questions, to make sure that our students have understood. So then what I mean by this is we're talking about, are we coloring the rabbit blue or yellow? Okay, or are we coloring the rabbit blue? Yes or no? Okay, so closed questions for the students. Okay, and then when they give you the correct answer, you know that they have understood the instructions that you're giving them. Okay, and so clear instructions, whatever course book you're using, but with this course as well, are really, really essential if you want to have, if you want to make the most of the material that you have, so that you don't have to find yourself wasting valuable time going around repeating instructions to all of your different students. Let's have a quick look now at skills that the learners will develop by using this course. Okay, so I'll start off by talking about thinking skills. I kind of briefly mentioned this at the beginning of the presentation. Okay, thinking skills are something that it's really, really important for young learners to develop this at a young age. Okay, and what I mean by this is the idea of building intelligence through listening and understanding. Okay, our aim when we're teaching English is to encourage independent thinking. Okay, encourage our students to think for themselves. Okay, and so this is something that the course tries to promote, tries to encourage the students to work things out for themselves, to think for themselves, and yeah, this idea of building intelligence is something that is a key focus of this course. Okay, and yeah, as I previously mentioned as well, listening skills right from the beginning of the course are really, really important. This is something that the course aims to develop a lot, depending on, it doesn't matter if you do the starter course or A or B, throughout it, there's lots and lots of listening, okay? So that students really encounter the language being used naturally. Pre-writing skills are also something that is that is introduced. Okay, I showed you very briefly the alphabet book. Okay, and so there are lots and lots of activities getting students to recognize different letters that they have to produce, and also kind of lots of tracing activities as well. Okay, and so we're aiming to develop these pre-writing skills before the students get into primary classes and start having to write short phrases, sentences perhaps, in English. But at this stage, we're looking at developing the pen holding skills, the tracing skills, getting them to write the letters correctly. Right. Developing memory is also really, really important. The students will do this through music, through movement, and through rhyme, as I mentioned before. So yeah, this has been proven that the more of your senses are activated, the easier it is, or the better it is for developing the memory of the language you're being taught. And something else that I think is essential, and I've given talks on this before previously, is it's really important for the students at a very young age to develop social skills, emotional skills, and also to develop an open attitude to other people and other cultures. The earlier that we can get our students to be aware of social values such as friendship, honesty, and to be aware of other types of people, other cultures, the better. Okay, and so this course also aims to do this. Okay, so there are lots of examples of activities that encourage talking about friendship, honesty, and introducing things from other parts of the world, other cultures. And I think that's a really, really important element of this course. So now, what about teaching then with New Hooray? Let's play. What kind of things can we do? All right. Personally, I think it's really, really important to make the most of the revision activities. You'll notice when you have a look at the teacher's book that every lesson starts with revision of the previous lesson's activities. Okay, and when you're teaching with this course, I think that is very, very important. Okay, we talked about memorization. We've talked about it a lot throughout this webinar. Okay, and I think this is absolutely key. The more often students encounter the language, and so they're encountering the language from the previous lesson, the easier it'll be, the better they will memorize that language. Okay, and I think as well, by doing revision activities at the beginning of the lesson, it gives the students a really nice kind of confidence boost at the start of a class. Okay, we can define the activities clearly as well. All right, as I mentioned before, clear instructions. Zoning the classroom, I'll show you a little bit more about that in a moment. And also having activities ready for fast finishers. I'll talk about that as well a little bit more. And for me, also a key thing, really make the most of this routine board. You saw how fantastic it was, how engaging it was for the students. Make the most of this. Use this at the start of every lesson. Okay, you get the students into really good habits about talking about the date, how they're feeling. And I think it's really important to know how our students are feeling at the start of a lesson. And so if a student is feeling a little bit sad or a little bit worried, maybe we reduce our expectations of what we're going to get from them during that class. Okay, and so I think this is a really great way to start your lesson when you're teaching with NewHooray. Let's play. So I talked about revision activities. I've got an example here of one. This is an interactive revision game that you can find in the interactive resources, and it's a way of revising both numbers and animals together. Okay, and as I said, yeah, each of the lessons when you look through the teacher's book begins with a revision activity. Okay, and these are absolutely crucial in helping our young learners learn and memorize the new language. The more often they encounter it, the more likely they are to remember it. Okay. The next thing, defining your activities clearly and zoning your classroom. What do I mean by zoning your classroom? I mean having different parts of the classroom for different activities. Okay, and this is really important for young learners because it helps them to recognize when one activity has finished and another one is going to start. Okay, so for example, when you do the hello song at the start of the lesson, the students can be in one part of the classroom. Okay, and then you're perhaps doing the carpet time circle song, you move to another part of the classroom. And then perhaps you're going to do some work from the book. Okay, and so the students obviously need to be at a table. Okay, so that's another part of the classroom. Obviously, sometimes your classroom is very small, but it doesn't require a huge amount of movement. It just means moving slightly to a slightly different place, changing the activity. So it's very clear to the student, okay, right, now this part of the lesson has ended and we're going to be doing some work from the book. And so I need to sit down and I need to concentrate on the work that is being done. Okay, and so yeah, you can have a new location for the table song, a new location for the tidy up song, and maybe all standing up together for the bye-bye song. Okay, and so defining your activities, giving clear instructions, and then having just a little bit of movement and moving to a different place in the classroom just really indicates to your young learners that this activity is now over. We're not doing this one anymore. We're now moving on to something else. Okay, and that really clarifies that for your young learners. Okay, and I would strongly recommend using the routine songs. Okay, so that your students recognize, okay, right, we've got a new song, so that means we must be doing something else. Okay, so that and again, if you use these routine songs, they know within a few weeks what is coming next. Okay, so they know when they hear the table song, they need to go and sit down at their table and they need to get their books out because that's what this is the time to do something out of the book. Okay, so it just gives your students as well a little bit of clarity about what is going to happen in the next stage of your lessons. The final thing here is activities for fast finishers. Okay, obviously in any class, particularly with young learners, you will find that you have some stronger students and some less strong students. And so these young learners are obviously going to work at different speeds. Okay, so you should be making the most of these extra activities that you've got in the resources, in the online resources and in the resource books, so that you have these extra activities ready. So if one of your students finishes quickly, you can give them that activity to be getting on with. Okay, and this is a really, really important thing. And I always have fast finisher activities in my classroom, regardless of what age of student I'm teaching, even for teenagers as well, because it just avoids them becoming bored and potentially disruptive in the class. Okay, so if you've got another activity that they can be getting on with, they're happy, they continue doing that, and everybody else continues and gets to finish their activity, rather than saying one student are going finished, and maybe being a little bit disruptive in the class. Okay, so always have extra activities up your sleeve, ready to go for those students who finish quickly. And then if they don't finish the extra activity, it's normally something really nice that they could take home and finish at home. All right, so it could be a little bit of extra homework for them if they wanted to. All right, but it's nothing too strenuous that's going to cause them too much stress. So I'm going to finish up with why do I think that you should choose this course? Well, as I've said throughout, this course I think is really, really engaging for young learners. Okay, the characters are really interesting for the students. The activities are fantastic. The activities can be graded to the different levels of the students, and it's really, really enjoyable for the young learners. And it has been tailor-made for pre-primary students. Okay, it's been designed by people who know this age group, and the activities, they just really work really well with this age of students. And the range of activities is absolutely fantastic. Okay, and so you can find what works well with your students and what they like, what they don't like, and then you can pick and choose the activities that you think will stimulate learning best amongst your students. All right, so yeah, there's so much choice in this course. So there's so many different activities that you can that will really, really stimulate learning and really, really encourage your students to learn together in their classes. It's a very, very well thought out and structured course as well. As you saw with the teacher's book, the teacher's guide is really clearly laid out. It's been how the lessons link together and how the activities link together within a lesson have been thought about really, really carefully. The lessons flow very, very nicely, not only within one lesson, but between the lessons as well. Okay, so the course structure is great. And as I mentioned before, I can't speak highly enough about the interactive resources. They are very, very easy to use, highly intuitive. Okay, very, very easy to use, very, very engaging. You can use them if you've got a smartboard or a TV in your classroom, but you can also use them just by putting the laptop on the table in your classroom as well. You don't need any fancy technology to be able to use this, but it's a great way of engaging your students and getting them involved in the language. And it's really, really fun. I enjoyed using it. Okay, and so it's really, really fun and really, really enjoyable for your students. And it is a very, very teacher-friendly course. Okay, the lessons are easy to follow. The material is easy to use. As a teacher myself, I'm going to be very happy to be teaching from this course next year, because it's going to really help me come up with lots and lots of engaging activities, lots and lots of fun activities, and it's going to make my life a lot easier when teaching this age group next year. Okay, so that's pretty much it from me. Does anybody have any questions that would like to ask? Maybe, I don't know if Maria and Elena want to come back in here with any questions.
Aquí estamos de vuelta, sí. Muchísimas gracias, Alex, por la presentación y por la sesión. Ha sido muy interesante. La verdad me ha encantado el entusiasmo que le pones al contárnoslo, porque ha sido, pues eso, muy motivador. Y nada, y sí, ha habido algunas preguntas. De hecho, creo que ahora mismo tenemos una aquí. Y una bueno, a lo mejor una puntualización que te preguntabas, dice, ay, estaba cargando la actividad y tardaba mucho en cargar, es porque tú lo estabas haciendo online y al compartirlo a lo mejor tarda un poquito más en cargar el producto, pero está la opción también de descargar los libros digitales y trabajar con ellos compartiendo pantalla. Ahí ganas un poquito más de tiempo. Entonces, esos pequeños segundos que te ha tardado a ti en compartir, eso se puede ahorrar, así que no hay ningún inconveniente. ¿Vale? Pues María, me parece que tú habías contestado ya una de las
Sí,
preguntas.
teníamos una pregunta sobre el material digital que estabas enseñando, si era también para los niños y para las familias. Por si no lo habéis visto, he respondido que efectivamente el material que ha enseñado Alex es el material de Teachers Eye Solutions, que es con lo que se da la clase, pero que habrá una web donde el profesor se puede descargar ese material o trabajarlo online, y habrá un acceso también para alumnos y para padres, donde van a tener acceso a los vídeos, a las canciones y actividades interactivas. Entonces, bueno, digamos que la parte de generador de juegos es específica para generarlos para jugar en clase, pero que luego el alumno tendrá acceso a otro tipo de material interactivo también para exponerse más tiempo a la lengua y para poder ver las historias, los vídeos y las canciones, poderlas ver y escuchar y practicar más en casa, tener más exposición. O sea que sí. Y había otra pregunta.
Sí, también hay dos preguntas más. Una también va en la línea de digital. Si deben registrarse, me imagino que si pregunta si se deben registrar profesores y alumnos, y si hay que abonar alguna cantidad adicional, es un digital book. Bueno, pues
Viene
sí, hay
incluido
tres.
con, claro, sí,
Lo
hay
estás
que
leyendo tú, ¿verdad?
registrarse, sí,
Vale.
hay que registrarse efectivamente, pero viene incluido con el libro, es decir, que los profesores tendrán su acceso, se lo proporcionará el delegado de su centro y podrán acceder, no hay que abonar ninguna cantidad adicional. Viene, digamos, con el acceso con el material en papel.
Eso es. Vale. Y preguntaban también para cuándo estará estos recursos para familias, pues para el principio de curso, a partir de septiembre estará disponible para los alumnos. Y para los
Preguntan por los niveles.
profesores.
Ah, perdón, es que estamos en
Perdóname,
sitios
es que
diferentes, sí.
sí, es que es la misma persona que tiene varias preguntas y así ya se las dejamos todas
Ah,
contestadas.
vale, sí.
Y preguntaba también el material para profesores. El material para profesores está ya desarrollado, ya lo tenemos terminado, impreso y demás. El material digital es el que se está terminando y por eso hemos trabajado y Alex ha enseñado una demo, pero a principio de curso estará todo disponible tanto para alumnos como para profesores.
De hecho, también para profesores estamos trabajando ahora en las programaciones, con lo cual también se subirán en el espacio del profesor para que tengáis todas las programaciones a vuestra disposición. Y preguntan cuántos niveles hay. Hay 3 niveles. Bueno, como os hablaba Alex, hay 2 componentes del alumno, ¿no? El Students Book y el Activities and Projects. Students Book tiene 3 niveles, Starter, Level A y Level B. Y Activities and Projects, que es algo que va un poquito más allá y es trabajar de otra manera, da un poquito más de nivel, es para el Level A and B. ¿Vale? Pero hay muchas combinatorias de productos, se puede utilizar o los dos, que sería lo ideal si tenéis muchas horas, pero a veces lo ideal no es la realidad y no tenéis tantas horas para utilizar tanto producto en papel, podéis utilizar uno de los dos. En el digital está todo combinado, como habéis visto, y entonces podéis ir sumando y restando según las necesidades de vuestro grupo, las horas que tengáis. Bueno, hacerlo un poquito customizado a vuestras necesidades y a vuestro entorno.
Vale, muy bien. No sé si hay alguna pregunta más.
Yo no veo ninguna más.
No, por eso animo a que si tienen alguna pregunta más que lo hagan ahora, que tenemos unos minutitos más, porque las que estaban tanto en la zona del chat como en la zona de preguntas y respuestas ya las hemos contestado. No sé si a Yolanda le ha quedado claro lo que nos preguntabas. Si necesita también más información, bueno, pues nos puede, si no sabe cuál es la persona, el delegado comercial de la zona, nos lo puede pedir y le pueden hacer una presentación o dar más información de forma personalizada, según, bueno, he mencionado a un asistente, pero a todos, por supuesto, también. Entonces, bueno, que nos vayan comentando si hay
si
alguna cosa
quieren,
más.
if they want to contact me, they can also
Yeah,
contact
sure.
me on this email address if they have any questions.
Yeah, and in the chat box there's the contact for Richmond as well, so they can contact us and then we can share the information with you, Alex.
Great.
Ok. Bueno, pues si no tenemos más preguntas, podemos dar por finalizada la sesión. Agradeceros a todos el tiempo y la asistencia. Alex, a ti agradecerte el pues, haber desarrollado la sesión, haberlo contado con tanto entusiasmo. Que, vamos, he disfrutado un montón solo viéndote a ti el entusiasmo que le has puesto y espero que lo disfrutéis mucho durante el curso también. Y nada, y nos vemos pronto en otra sesión.
Muchas gracias a todos. Gracias, Alex.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Chao.